Shaun here. What a week it's been already. Flew back in from Perth, UFC 305. What a weekend that was. Straight into the Prince of Penrose farewell tour. Adam and Jazz, their last home games before they depart to She's all go this weekend. How bloody good is sport? Of course, Perth, what a time that was. I'll touch more on it in my weekly wrap, but one of the great weekends. The UFC, I'd never been to one before. It's a bloody cool event to attend live. Didn't realise how quickly they get through the fights. There's only about a 5 or 10 minute break in between biffs, so it's just straight up action from the moment you sit down into your seats. It really was a who's who in the crowd as well. Bumped into plenty of the Springboks lads who looked like they were still drinking from the night before when they bet the Wallabies in Perth. Had a good yarn with Jesse Creel and Andre Pollard as well. Pollard, bloody good bloke, which did piss me off a little because, man, has he broken our hearts a few times over the last couple years. Really didn't want to like him, but he was a good saw. Also saw guys like Richie Mo'unga there too. Quick little, hey, how you going? But it was an unreal weekend in Perth. Pity it pissed down the whole time, but luckily UFC indoor event, so it certainly didn't dampen our spirit. Shout out to the TAB. Of course, went over there as well to do some content for them. Street Talk videos, one's already dropped. Still a couple more to come. And then also dropped a little vlog piece with Dodsey. Unreal scenes. Really appreciate them sending me over. Hissing weekend, and hopefully the first of many more opportunities like that to come in the near future. Of course, back-to-back TAB shout-outs. They're the headline sponsor of this podcast, so really appreciate them. Have the Surly code available for this week's game too. Warriors vs Bulldogs, historic stuff, so if you are having a flutter on that game, make sure you chuck in the code STS50 in the bonus cash section before you place a bet on that game, and the TAB will match your bet up to $50 in bonus cash. This offer exclusive for the first 100 people only, and over the last couple of weeks, just prior to kickoff, I've had people flicking me through messages on Insta saying, Surly, your code's not working. That's because it's been claimed already, so get in fast before other people beat you to it. Of course, that applies as well, that code, to any options in that game. Surly boots, power plays, same game multis, the works. Got some juicy same game multis for you later on in the pod too, made by ChatGPT, so surely they come in. So make sure you type in that code, make the most of it, get yourself some bonus cash, and shout out to the TAB, as always, for providing up a little more value for listeners of the pod. Better Beer, shout out to them too, absolute legends, the official beer of Surly Talk Sports Pod. Best thing about being in Perth too, Aussie pubs, Better Beer on tap, so fair to say I deleted a fair few scooey moi mois of those bad boys. Zero carbs, only 87 calories. If you're watching the footy or any sport this weekend, wrap your lips around a Better Beer. You won't regret it. But plenty to get into today. Of course, Rugby League, Warriors, Shaun Johnson Stadium, lots of headlines from that. All Blacks bounce back to pump Argentina, UFC 305, full review in the weekly wrap, some punting and the Q&A. So let's kick her off. How bloody good. 11 new additions to the NRL Hall of Fame, headlined for me by the Queensland greats and Cam Smith, Jonathan Thurston, Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk and Greg Inglis, all in the mixer, as well as Souths captain Sammy Burgess, and then most importantly, Kiwis and Tigers star Benji Marshall, one of the GOATs of the game over here. Some huge names there, missed a couple out, more of your old school operators, but those were the big dogs for me. All deserved inductees who have certainly earned this accolade. All of them have caused some real heartbreak for the Warriors and for the Kiwis at times too, but great recognition for their careers and their achievements. When you rattle off those names, your Smith, Thurston, Slater, Cronk, Inglis, Burgess, Benji, straight away in your head you can't help but start running through some highlights, some iconic moments. All of them have bloody impressive CVs, and the impact they have had on the game both in Australia and here in New Zealand really is second to none. The next immortal set to be named tonight. By the time this podcast drops, you'll already know who it is, so interesting to see who they go with. Some great candidates for that prestigious award, and to be fair, fair, I reckon they need to roll them out a little bit quicker now because of the likes of your Lockiers, your Cam Smiths, as well as some old school operators who deserve to be in there. So let's get the ball rolling. Next big news, Kiwis taking on Tonga, Mount Smart, November the 2nd, 2024. And this is great to see. Test match footy is back. Tonga, of course, they were over in England last year, so didn't participate in the old Pacific Championship. We didn't get to see them play here. Got to host Aussie and Samoa, but the Tongans were off doing their own thing. And I actually think the last time we played them was back in 2019 when we got the dub. Could be wrong there though, but what they've done over the last few years has been so impressive. Built a strong team, and they've also built a massive fan base too. So not only is the game going to be a doozy, the stadium and the atmosphere itself is going to be unreal. She'll be a sea of red out at Mount Smart. The parades will be on. Add to that, the Kiwis coming in off the back of that 30-0 drubbing of Australia last year. It's going to be a great game and a great occasion at the home of rugby league. Bring on international footy in November. Have it on good authority too. The final of the Pacific Championship will be played at Suncorp Stadium. Hopefully it's Aussie versus the Kiwis, but that is going to be some series, and you just love seeing more footy dragging out the old rugby league season. Bloody good stuff. Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart. She's been renamed Shaun Johnson Stadium for the night tomorrow night, and how good is that? Of course, in honour of one of the greatest to play the game and wear the Warriors jersey, the Prince of Penrose, in his final home match before he hangs up the boots. And I can't think of many bigger honours than having your home stadium named after you. It's great recognition for an unreal career. Tomorrow night will be his 87th game at home, and to have the venue named after him is just so fucking cool, especially when you add in how much playing at home in front of the diehard Warriors faithful means to him. He has said it's the best feeling in the world, so for him to do that one last time with the ground named in his honour, write a better script than that. So shout out to the teams at Go Media and Auckland Stadiums for making this possible and for allowing the Warriors to honour SJ the way he deserves. Shit, is this going to be an emotional night? Add in that it's the final home games for one club warrior, Jazz Savanga, and also Adam Whanua Blake, who has been massive for us through the middle over these last couple years. The stage is set for an historic night. The club is also releasing SJ tribute t-shirts, only 1,000 of those. They're wearing them at Captain's Run today, so make sure you cop yourself one of them once they go on sale, because they will sell like hotcakes. And there's also going to be a lot of SJ tributes and signs up around the stadium, a bit of a trip down memory lane as we continue to celebrate the career of the Prince. So get in there early, enjoy the New South Wales Cup game beforehand, soak up the atmosphere. It's going to be a night to tell your kids about, I reckon. The lads are going to cop it off with a win too. You want to tell them you were there the night SJ played his final game at Mount Smart Stadium. What an absolute legend. And let's hope we get the dub. Connor Watson and Spencer Leniu, they've re-signed at the Chooks until the end of 2027. Great signatures for the boys from Bondi. Two Origin players from this year that are key members of this side moving forward. And with the players they're losing, these are really important lads for them to lock down. Then at the other end of things, some potential signing rumours, and one of them in particular involves the Warriors, with stuff leaking that Aaron Clark could potentially be getting an early release from the Titans to join the Warriors next year on a long-term deal, which to me makes a lot of sense when you run it through. A Kiwi lad, versatile, can fill the hole left by Jazz, also a great long-term Tohu Harris replacement potentially. I think he's been playing some great footy this last year, appears to have really turned his game around. Plus you factor in the fact his mum, Temepara George, it's also recently been announced to be making the move back from the Gold Coast to New Zealand to coach netball, and this does seem extremely likely. I do note the Warriors came out and said no statements, so they didn't really confirm or deny this one. For me, I hate the fact we're losing Jazz, but at the same time, I do think this is a good get for us. Best part of it for me too, he's a junior Warrior coming coming back home. I rate this if it's true, and I think he'll be a really handy pickup for our club over the next few years. Anytime we can bring back a Kiwi lad to rep the colours of his home club, then I'm all for it, as much as it hurts to be losing one half of the Ball Bash brothers. But on to the big results from last week. Let's kick her off with last Thursday night's top of the table clash, and shit did it live up to the hype, with the Storm getting the Chockies 24 points to 22 on their Thursday night football. Cam Munster take a bow, Jerome Hughes take a bow. Both of the Melbourne playmakers put on a masterclass. I thought Pappy was really dangerous through the middle too, and it looked like they really targeted that Panthers forward pack with some quick and elusive bodies, looking to tire them out through the middle, and I think they pulled off that game plan bloody well. If that's Munster playing with two fucked hips and requiring surgery in the off-season, then he has to be one of the freakiest talents to have ever played the game. It was a great game this though. Storm deserved winners, but I thought these two showed why they are the best two teams in the comp. The biggest talking point from this one for me though has to be that injury to the people's chin and Nathan Cleary, who left the game early with a shoulder injury. Chat is he's been dealing with it for the whole season as well. He's been needling and strapping it up, so that is a tough blow. The good news is though, he's set to be back for finals. They're saying week 1 as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if they rest him for longer than that, because I do think this Panthers side with Luai at 7, more than capable of beating the majority, if not nearly all, teams going round in the comp still. But I thought Penrith really missed him down that back end, and I've no doubt if he was on the side, perhaps we would have got a golden point game, which I actually had a cheeky little bet on, paying $11, so that sucks for me. I also thought they really missed Liam Martin and Sorensen, but a great win for Melbourne, who continue to get the job done, find ways to win, flex their muscle, and now it looks like they might have wrapped up the minor premiership. So a great dub on the road in Penrith for them as well. Next game, Manly vs Wales, your Friday night feature match. A heartbreaking result, 24 points to 10 we went down, but again, this was another game that for me, I feel like it was well and truly there for the taking. Another week where we dominated the middle, had so many opportunities to win this game, but just couldn't make them count. Our red zone errors cost us yet again, had some real poor individual mistakes from guys that you usually don't expect to be making mistakes like that, and that's been a constant of our season so far this year. Must be so bloody frustrating for the players and the coaching staff, the leadership group too. You can't have a completion rate of 75% and expect to knock over a top 8 side like Manly, and you can't continue to make the same mistakes week in and week out in a competition like the NRL and expect to win, because you're just not going to be able to do that. Add to those errors a shit ton of soft piggyback penalties when Manly were coming out of their own end, which really helped them relieve so much pressure. Lazy head highs, not being back the 10, jumping early, just little coach killers that allowed them to march down the field, get back into our half, and quite often they'd turn that into points as well. I thought our forward pack ripped in, marched us down the field constantly. AFB, another big shift from him, only 149 run meters off 10 carries, and I say only, that's still a huge amount, particularly off only 10 carries, but for him, that's probably quite low. But he was great, adding a try assist, 35 tackles for just the 1 miss, and 0 errors in 69 minutes, a really nice number there. He's not the one making these mistakes, and I thought he was outstanding in really tough conditions where it would have been easy to come up with a couple loose carries for sure. I thought Dylan Walker was great too, 160 metres, the most of our forwards, 2 ex-Manly lads going all out there at Brookvale and looking to make a statement. Great to see SJ Dot down on what was a real mixed bag night for him, with the 3 pretty poor errors, lots of people going in on him on Instagram, but that was a real heart warmer for him to dot down on his last dance at Brookvale up against his old mate in DCE, the People's Neck, the old Brontosaurus. I thought Metcalf was good on his return, makes you wonder what could have been if he was healthy all year, and partnering SJ in the 6 jersey, 25 tackles, just the 1 miss. That is really nice defensive stats for a half, and I thought he always looked dangerous whenever he had the Steadin in his mitts. Again, there were some interesting referee calls, just wanted to touch on one in particular, that Adam Pompey no try. I saw it given on Thursday night for the Storm, the exact same play against Penrith. They gave it then. Why they couldn't give it to us, it really just does baffle me. all we want is consistency, and I hate to sound like I'm moaning, because we have that reputation as Warriors fans over the ditch that all we do is complain about the refs, but man, that was such a harsh call, one that could have potentially cost us the game too, because 4 more points there, a massive momentum swing, and we could well have marched on. So that pissed me off. Good to hear the Warriors fans in the stands booing the refs as they came off the field too. I'm not big on that type of stuff normally, but it's just getting to the point now where you see these things happen live and you just know they're going to pull it back, despite, 24 hours earlier, that was deemed play on, 4-pointer for Melbourne. It's just bloody confusing, to be honest. Apart from that, wasn't just the ref that let us down, of course. Our last tackle plays, I thought they were pretty poor. Luke Brooks and DCE won that kicking battle really easily. Punting-wise, it was a double heartbreak for me too. We lost the game by 14, had that Surly boost. Warriors with the 12-point head start. Dell and Saab to combine for 2 or more tries. Dell and Saab did the job early, so from there on out, we were just riding home the result. 10-all at halftime. I was getting DMs, you beauty, Surly. You've well and truly covered me for my weekend. Unfortunately, not to be though. They pushed it out to 14 in the end. Heartbreaking stuff. So overall, another frustrating night at the office. Full of hope at Oranges, had plenty of chances to change the outcome of this game throughout the second 40 as well, but Manly just too good in the end. You got to take your hats off to them. They put in a strong performance and they were deserved winners. Back to the grindstone this week, back to Shaun Johnson Stadium where we turn it around. I am sure of that. Roosters versus Eels, that was on after. Man, the rain was hectic in Sydney, and that field, Allianz, was absolutely fucked. She was flooded, water over the players' boots. I'm not sure what's going on with the surface there, because it is a pretty new one. Summed up perfectly as well by that Dylan Brown play where he dove on the ball about 5 or 10 metres out, ended up sliding over the dead ball line. It was like being a little kid back at your old grassroots games. I thought Joey Manu carved up. He's going to be a massive loss for the Roosters next year. His combo with Dommy Young proving to be pretty deadly. I thought Teddy was a gun as well. For me, it's between him and Jerome Hughes on who wins the Dally M. I do have the headgear assassin currently just above him, but a few big performances here from Tedesco could see him grab it. But they were too strong for Para as they continue to look to cement themselves in the top 4. Dogs, big win for my second team up against the Finns. Enjoyed this game. The energy they play with is sick to watch. They seem like such a bonded group at the moment. Of course, Warriors humped them this week, but whenever they're not playing us, I've decided to get around them. Defensively, they're unreal. Restricted the Finns to only 10 points. Siding on for scoring plenty. So that is a massive tip of the hat right there. And when you factor in that one of the Dolphins' 10 points was a try off an intercept as well, that makes that defensive shift even more impressive. And for me, they're a genuine chance and a real premiership contender. If they can keep this D up, they have the ability on attack to score points, and if they can limit a side like the Panthers or Melbourne to under 20 points, then that would well and truly be game on. And in my head, I have it kind of in a 3-tier structure at the moment in terms of teams that could win the comp. Up the top, you got the Storm and the Panthers. Down below that, for me, standing alone, you have the Bulldogs. Then below that, I think the Roosters and Manly are your next best shots, with the Roosters, of course, probably the more likely than the Manly Gulls. But for me, Manly, they still have so much X factor in that side that I think on their day, they could pull off a dub. If DCA and Brooksy have the boot locked in, Tommy Turbo at full health and just giving it everything he's got, then I wouldn't want to play the boys from Brookie either. But this game, she was a doozy. The highlight for me had to be when the Hammer chased down the Fox. Crazy stuff there, and perhaps an early indication to the outcome of the 100-metre sprint race if it did go down in the grand final this year. As soon as Fox got his hands on the ball, I thought that was good night nurse, and you can tell he's not quite running at 100% yet, working his way back from his hamstring, and it didn't look like he dropped the clutch fully, but he had a big head start on the Hammer. The Hammer did have the angle on him, but once the Hammer got into his stride, into his work, that relaxed running style he has, man, can the bloke move. Pretty crazy too. The old Fox live tracker clocked him at 40 k's an hour at one stage there. Usain Bolt was moving at 44 k's per hour in the 100-metre sprint at the Olympics. So when you compare that, one on a footy field, one on a track, That's pretty fucking wild, and that was great scenes. The hammer, a great shoulder tackle to stop a try there. I was interested to see too. Looked like Herbie Farnworth was right in the vicinity to pull off the tackle himself if the hammer wasn't there. So maybe the herbivore, a late entrance into the old sprint race. But Cowboys, they pumped the Raiders in the second game on your Super Saturday. Disappointing shift from Canberra, season on the line, and they got smoked 42 points to 4. Shout out to Jakey Clifford. Man, was he good. That might be the end of Chad Townsend's season and the end of his Cowboys career, to be fair. Of course, he's off to the Roosters next year. Cowboys, they have the bye this week. That's another 2 points guaranteed for them as they look to climb the ladder late into the top 4. I still don't think they're a chance at going all the way. They're too up and down for me, but I thought the Big Red Dog was a great addition to their attack, and this was a massive dub for them at home. Tigers Bunnies, that was the final game on your Super Saturday. Tigers get the dub 18-16 to fuck my multi, and no doubt many of yours as well. I had the Bunnies winning this one, and I thought they'd do so reasonably comfortably as well. The Tigers, they're trying to avoid the wooden spoon desperately. Interesting to hear Lockie Galvin say that's their motivation for the rest of the year. They're only 2 points behind Para, but their points for and against could well be the thing that undoes them. For the Bunnies, they almost stole this one late. Cam Murray, he was insane throughout this game, back at lock. Pass ruled forward correctly too. Another great game from Lockie Galvin as well, as the young lad continues to show he has a massive future. And well done to the Tigers, a big win at Leichhardt. Then on your Super Sunday, where the Dragons 32 points to 16, ruining the party for the Titans, and Kieran Foran as he celebrated his 300th game. Great to see so many Manly lads there supporting one of their greats. Copped a shot from Jack DeBellin as well as a little milestone present too. But the way this game started, I thought the Titans were on, obviously playing for a spot in the 8 or to keep their finals hopes alive. Scored in the first couple minutes. Keanu Keeney, man, has he been outstanding. Another massive game from him. 344 run meters, breaking the Titans record, which he actually set earlier on this year. The bro's a gun. That battle with him and Chance to wear the 1 jersey for the Kiwis. It's going to be interesting to see what Stacey Jones does there, but Keeney certainly has to be the front runner at this stage. He has been week in and week out, one of, if not the Titans' best this season. But the Dragons, they just pegged them back and played some good footy. Ben Hunt, Zachy Lomax, they both had great days, and this was a huge win for them, particularly with the Dolphins, Raiders and Knights all losing last weekend. That's 3 of their 4 main threats to push them out of the 8. It's also the first time they've been in the 8 since 2018. Almost a 4-point win for them, and no doubt they'll look to back it up again at home this weekend in another massive clash. And then your final game of the round, Cronulla, they got the dub over the Knights in Golden Point. The refs put the whistle away, as they tend to do in extra time. A few pretty obvious calls that they let go, but it was Atkinson who clutched it. Had a great game filling in for Nico Hines, and I reckon he's been a great addition for them so far this year. Cam McInnes, he was good too. 57 tackles, real textbook stuff from him. 3 times the amount of teeth he's got. Another monster effort. 19 points to 18. They bank that win and they move on. Well done to Craig Fitzgibbons, lads. So on to this week we go. Round 25, Tigers versus Manly. Thursday night footy to kick us off. Manly up and about. Surely they get the job done here. It is the Luke Brooks Bowl though. One of the Tigers greats coming back to try and terrorise his old side. Rumours too that the winner gets a barbecue, so maybe Brooksy can walk away with 2, or swap the second one for a gas bottle that the tight bastards didn't give him the first time. But I'll be on Manly here, and I think there could be some points scored with both teams playing an exciting brand of footy. Friday night, this is where the round really kicks off though. 8 p.m. at the Fortress, Shaun Johnson Stadium. Warriors versus Doggies, and I reckon we get this one. Like I said before, it's going to be an emotion-filled night. The Doggies, they've got the rough end of the stick here, coming over to play us in such an an important occasion. It's the SJ Mount Smart farewell, as well as, of course, the final home games for AFB and for Jazz, one of the last of the OGs. Good to see Webby having the ability to name the same backline for what seems the first time in a bloody long time. No changes there, which will be great for our attack as we look to finally form some combinations this season. In the forward pack, Wade Egan, the CEO of Ruck Manipulation, aka Egan Park, he returns from that elbow injury and he'll get the start with Freddie pushing back to the 14, CHT moving to 18th man and the rest of the team remaining unchanged. For the Doggies, same team for them as last week where they bet the Dolphins. Good to see Josh Curran make the trip over here as well. There were thoughts he might miss it off the back of picking up a bit of an injury last week. That shot he copped from Kafusi, while I don't think it was a penalty, man, that was massive and no doubt that would have hurt for sure. But good to see him back. One of the crowd favourites from the last few years. Good mates with SJ too. He's a legend of the bloke and a friend of the show, so I'm looking forward to catching up with him for a couple tins post-game as well. The old mulleted menace. Keen to see what type of reception he gets, but I still think the faithful deep down, they all have a soft spot for Joshy Curran. This one, it's going to be a great matchup all across the park. Went to Golden Point when we played them not long ago, and although the Doggies, they're playing amazing footy at the moment, I genuinely do believe that we are a chance to get the Chockies here. The boys from Bankstown, they're sitting in 5th, just 2 points behind the Sharks, and a win for them here would be massive. But they hate coming to New Zealand. They haven't won here since 2012. They have won 6 of their last 7 games this season, so it's a great time for them to come across, and they'll be heading over full of confidence. They've got the best D in the comp at the moment. Their edges have been lethal on attack. Shutting down, or at least trying to nullify the effect of Crichton and Keraz will no doubt be high on the priority list for Webby and the team. As well as that, limiting the effect of Matty Burden, Kikau, Reed Marnie, Adokar, and their other multiple threats. Easier said than done, but I think fueled off emotion, we will have enough in the duffel bag to get this done. Where I think we have the advantage, I love this matchup for us in the middle of the park. I think our pack has the opportunity to dominate the Doggies off the back of pure size and strength, like last time we played them, to be fair. AFB and Barnett, they'll be looking to set the platform, and if we can get into the wrestle and go set for set with them, then we have the strike to trouble the Dogs as well and score some points. And for me, as disappointing as this season has been at times, and there's no beating around the bush, we've lost 7 of our last 9 games in a period where our season and our finals hopes have been on the line, so it's been tough to swallow. But getting the win in this game would almost redeem all of that, and it would be great to finish our season with one last win at home in front of another historic sold-out crowd. We win only just, but a win is a win. Up the mighty Warriors. Can't wait for this game tomorrow night. Broncos vs Eels after that. Tristan Saylor, he's in, replacing Reece Walsh, who of course is out with that broken hand. Selwyn Cobbo, the big inclusion too. Not sure what's going on with him off field, but clearly he's been cleared by the NRL to return in a big boost for the Broncos. For the Eels, Micah Sivo, Kalma Tuolangi, both come into the starting side after being on the bench last week. Broncos still with a slim shot at playing finals footy, so I think they get the job done here, despite being down 3 of their biggest names in Walsh, Ezra and Payne in the Haas. I think Tony Staggs might put on another clinic against these para edges who can be a bit of a leaky sieve defensively, and the boys from Brizzy will get busy. Super Saturday, Raiders, Panthers. Raiders on the slide. Panthers looking to bounce back after losing that top of the table tussle without Cleary, but they welcome back Liam Martin and in Jerome Luai. They have a bloody good 7 replacement right there. So I like Ivan's lads to continue the pile on the hurt for Sticky Stewart and the Green Machine. Storm vs Dolphins. Tyron Wishart comes onto the wing in place of Grant Anderson, who's in the concussion protocol, but I wouldn't be surprised if Wishy switches off to the bench. Fa'alongo swaps straight in and comes in for the start on the wing. Good to see Christian Welsh as well, named on the extended bench as he looks to make his way back from a back and baby cow niggle. Melbourne starting to come back to full health when it really counts. A win here would wrap up the minor prem for them pretty much, and it would also allow them the ability and the luxury to rest some players over the last 2 rounds against either the Cowboys in Townsville or the Broncos in Brisbane. That would be a massive advantage for them as they look to go deep on a long finals run. I'm backing them here to get the win up against the Dollies and continue to pile on the hurt for them. Bunnies versus Knights, no Cody Walker, he's out with concussion, he'll miss this game, but good to see young Tyrone Munro named on the extended bench. He's been out for the majority of the season, and alongside Campbell Graham, who's been out all year. I think people have forgotten how much strike they are missing due to injuries out wide this season. For the Knights, Jack Cogger, he takes over at 5'8" from Tyson Gamble responsibly, who broke his hand against the Sharks. Another little reshuffle there for them in the halves, but I still think they get the dub. The Knights, they need this one. Bunnies just playing for pride and to try and avoid the spoon. They still have some great players on their roster. Guys like Cam Murray, Colin Matangi, Jack White and Damien Cook and co. So they are a dangerous team on their day. Can't be taken lightly, but if the Knights are fair dinkum, they need to pick this one up and bank the 2 points. Super Sunday, Titans versus Chooks, with the Titans still a slim mathematical chance of playing finals despite losing their last 2 games by a combined scoreline of 72 points to 16. Them and the Raiders, they've really shat the bed late. If they cop another L here though, they are well and truly done. They take on a Roosters side that'll be feeling confident off their win last week, and they've got plenty to play for too. Sitting in third, but looking to lock up a spot in the top 4, and they're actually only 2 points behind the Panthers, sitting in second as well. For me, they want to keep winning these games. If there's a chance they could push up into second, that would be huge, but finishing in third is way better than finishing in fourth in my humble opinion, compounded in particular by the loss of Nathan Cleary for the Panthers. I would rather personally run the gauntlet of playing the Panthers in round 1 with the possibility Nath wouldn't be there than having to go to Melbourne to take on the Storm if I am the Roosters, because their record there against the Storm is bloody piss poor, and while the Panthers are still a good side without Cleary, I think they got a better chance of going to Penrith and pulling off the upset there to buy themselves a trip straight through to the prelim. For the Dragons, they're up against the Sharks to wrap things up for this round as well. A great game this one at WIN Stadium. Dragons in the 8 for the first time in 6 years. Sharkies with the Dogs hot on their heels, and they welcome back Tricky Trindle into the Hearts for a nice little boost for them. Add to that, it's the fact it's the Shane Flanagan Bowl. He'll want to get this one up against his old side. He helped coach to a premiership back in 2016 before they got rid of him. So that should add some fuel to the fire for your final clash for round 25. So another big round, only 3 more weeks of NRL before we get into the business end, and guttingly only 2 more games left for us Warriors fans in this season. If you're lucky enough to have tickets to tomorrow night's game like myself, then get stuck in and let's make some noise on this historic night. If not, hope you enjoy this one from the comfort of your couch. Get up the lads, long live the Prince of Penrose, and see ya at Shaun Johnson Stadium. She's going to be iconic. There's going to be tears flowing, someone cutting onions, that's for sure. But enjoy every minute, because this is going to be one to remember. That's for damn sure. What a difference a week makes. Of course, the media, they were coming out challenging the All Blacks. I said it was going to be interesting to see how Razor handled the loss and how the All Blacks responded. Well, 42 points to 10. She was a down trailing at the Garden of Eden to chalk up our 50th straight Test win at the Fortress. A huge performance from the ABs. They had it all their way, set the tone early, dictated the way the game would be played, implemented their game plan and got to work. That first half in particular, that was beautiful to watch. That's how rugby should be played. Blew Argentina off the park in almost every aspect of the game. Scored some great tries. 35 points to 3 at Oranges. The game was well and truly over. One of the most dominant 40 minutes of All Black rugby that we've seen in a bloody long time. I thought the forward pack took care of the tough stuff. The back showed some beautiful creativity on attack as well. That offload from TJ to Will Jordan, their little chip kicks that led to tries. We really showed off our skill set in difficult conditions. The field, it was wet. The ball would have been slippery. It was raining cats and dogs for periods there. Not easy to go out and execute a high-octane offense in those conditions, but the lads got the job done. This was the response we we wanted and we expected. I thought the All Blacks ticked pretty much every box in that first half in particular, while still playing decent code in the second half too. Well done to Razor and the team. A massive bounce back statement from them. The standouts for me in the forward pack, I thought Tamaiti Williams, he had a massive game up front. He was out to set the tone early, did that at both scrum time and around the paddock. He's got that enforcer mindset about him, doesn't back down, not afraid of the niggle, a huge body who knows how to use his side to bully opposition teams, and he was bloody outstanding. I was really impressed with the improvement of our loose forward trio as well. I thought last week they got dominated by the Pumas, and I made that pretty clear in my review off the back of that first test. Clearly, they took all that criticism personally. I can imagine Razor challenged them all week as well, because of course that was the position he played in back in the day, and I thought they responded in every way possible. Blackadder, he was great into everything, loves a bit of niggle too, and he was getting into some pushing and shoving. I thought Dalton stepped up, one of his better performances in the black jersey, and then Artie was just Artie, as he always is. He was everywhere, bumping off blokes left, right and centre. There was that one carry, bump into another bump. He just refuses to go to ground. Pound for pound, he's got to be one of the strongest players going round in the game. Flies into every collision as well, just empties the gas tank. Really was a great knock from those three, and they certainly got the better of their Argentinian opposites. I thought TJ Perenara in the backs, he was outstanding. Critics were coming for him, saying, let's start Cortez. TJ's departing our shores. Why are we giving him a go? Maybe his time is over. I thought he had a really good game, showed his class as well. D-Mac, pretty similar story to TJ, plenty calling for change there. I thought they were going to start Bodie, to be fair, but they stuck with him, and I think he justified that too, which is good to see. He also, at the same time, probably locked himself into the 10 jersey for at least the first test over in South Africa. And then Bodie, he continued his great form at the back. He was at his menacing best, and I think this game was the perfect justification for dual playmakers in the 10-15 jersey and how they can complement each other so well. I thought as a duo they looked really sharp. They mixed up our options, painted different pictures, both picked their moments to play first receiver as well, and they balanced the workload really well, kept the Argentinians guessing some of those nice little nudges. The running games of both of these lads is always so strong, and you just don't know what they're going to cook up, which is exactly what you want to keep opposition defences guessing. Then when you got someone like Will the Thrill Jordan on the end of the back line, it certainly helps as well. Welcome back to the starting side. He's such a world-class talent, unreal finisher, but also has that rare ability to create opportunities from nothing. Would still love to see him at 15, but I think with how it all looked on Saturday, you've got to stick with that backline and him on the wing as well. He gives us massive X-factor out wide, takes our attack to another level. He's so classy and still just working his way back from a big injury as well. He's probably only in second or third gear. By the time he gets to fifth, that is going to be some sight to see, so fingers crossed he can just keep banging out the reps, getting through his work at training, bit more time in the saddle, and it's scary to think what he could become by the time the next World Cup rolls around, because he's already one of the best attacking weapons in the game. It was a great win overall, which I think sets the stage beautifully for the next two games to come after this. We get the week off, and then we head over to South Africa, and I'm already licking my lips at the thought of taking on the Boks and back-to-back clashes over there. Bumped into so many South African fans over at the UFC too. They're frothing at the mouth for this one. Shit do they love playing the All Blacks, and shit do they love beating them too. A repeat of the World Cup final, but we're going to flip the result. That is going to be some fortnight of footy. Then Wallabies, South Africa. Speaking of the Boks, again just proved too good, but I actually thought the Wallabies in the first half made a real contest of this one. Probably the best code they've played so far. Second 40 though, the class of the Boks really shone through. The weather was horrible, which meant that neither side could really control the ball for long periods. It was a bit patchy, made for a back and forward game. Credit to the Wallabies, although the Boks scored 30 points, I thought their defense in particular was pretty sharp. At the same time though, still loving watching this new look Springboks side and their willingness to experiment, chuck the ball around, outscored the Wallabies 4 tries to none. It's not often that you see the Wallabies going up in 3s and the Boks going up in 5s and 7s. sevens. So they came away from this game with maximum points. Job done for Rassi and his crew, and they sit pretty up the top of the Rugby Championship ladder, and shit were they celebrating that at the UFC. Bloody good scenes. Then on to the NPC, couple of upsets last weekend. One big shock result in particular with Otago, the Golden O, beating Auckland at the Sistema Lunchbox to have Auckland sitting winless 0-2. You love to see it. Second to last on the ladder, and I didn't expect that. Of course, they came into the year second favourites in your betting markets to take out the competition. They've had a pretty tough start, but at the same time, you do expect them to go down and beat Otago, particularly an Otago side that was bouncing back after a loss to the Southland Stags. Shout out to Otago though. Bloody good performance from them. Enjoying watching that duo of Cam Miller and Sammy Gilbert go about their work too in the 10 and 12 jersey. Landers got two great young guns there that'll really get into their work over the next couple of years. Northland, they bet the Turbos 35 points to 18 in a nice dress rehearsal for their Shield game tomorrow night. Tasman, they won the Crusaders Cup 22 points to 7 over Canterbury. They're looking sharp, one of only 4 unbeaten teams remaining in the comp. And that right there is what makes the NPC so good. We're only 2 or 3 games in for teams that have done the Storm Week, and there's only 4 teams left in a 14-team competition that haven't lost a game. You love to see it. Hawke's Bay, they defended the Shield 31 points to 17 over a spirited Southland Stags side. Great to see the lad I highlighted as my player to watch this year a couple weeks back, Falatoi Penny, going great guns in the 12 jersey for the Stags. He's a bloody good footballer. Good to see him getting the start too. Played week 1 off the Rimu, but clearly they've identified the talent he has. Bay of Plenty, 3 from 3, capped off their Storm Week with a 24 points to 20 win over the mighty Harbour Heat. Bot, top of the table. They've picked up 5 points from each of their 3 games, which is impressive, and they're looking the real deal. Actually tipped them in my futures pod before the comp started. $19 they were paying to win the comp. Them and Harbour were my big money shots, and shit do they look good. Stacked with Super Rugby and All Black fringe talent, and they're getting the job done. Harbour again, looked great for the first 50 or 60 odd minutes, had an 8-point lead, but then shat the bed late to lose this one. Pretty much week 1 on repeat yet again, so a bit of a trend there for the Harbour lads through their first 2 games, still chasing that 80-minute performance, but I think they dish that up this weekend up against Waikato. Wellington got the win in a tough clash against their crosstown rivals Taranaki, 26 points to 18, and then Counties, they went down at home in Pukekohe, 20 points to 26 against their crosstown rivals in Waikato as well. So on to this week we go. Tomorrow night, Shield Challenge season, you gotta love it. Back-to-back Shieldies for Hawke's Bay, so fingers crossed they didn't celebrate that Shield defence too much. And I tell you what, I think this game has real upset potential. The TAB has given Northland no chance, which we'll touch on shortly, but they're a good side this year, and at $4, they're really being written off for me. Got players like Sam Knock, Hiramiah Murray, of course Reihana, the Crusaders first 5 in the 10 jersey. They have the ability to score points. They push Canterbury in round 1 and look good last weekend against Manawatu as well. It won't be easy in Napier, taking on a Hawke's Bay side who's pretty much whole focus this year is just to get the job done at home and defend the Shield. But this should also be a really entertaining game. 2 sides that like to throw the ball around. Really is a pity no one's going to be watching it. 7:05 p.m. kickoff before the biggest Lars game of the year. A tough time slot right there. Sky Sport probably fucked that one up. But hey, it is what it is. And get up the tunnies. Super Saturday, Counties host Tasman before the feature game of the day. 2 big dogs and huge rivals. Hammer and Tongs, bums on seat stuff. Auckland taking on Canterbury. Interested to see what All Blacks are released this weekend too, of course. They've got no game. Surely Razor gives those guys right on the fringe of the squad an opportunity to lace up the boots for their province. Plummer, he could well be back, which would make a massive impact on this game. If the tradie can slot himself into the 10 jersey, then Auckland really do grow another leg. Auckland at home, they'll be desperate to not go 0-3. That would literally be a nightmare start for them. them. But at the same time, Canterbury, they'll be stinging after getting beaten fairly convincingly last weekend by Tasman, and it's also the start of their Storm week too, so this one will have plenty of feeling to it and plenty of star talent in it hopefully as well. Then Stags Taranaki to round us out on your Super Saturday. Get up the Stags at home. Then Sunday, Otago, can they claim back-to-back big scalps and knock over Bop at home? I'll be backing Bop, but Otago showed last weekend they're certainly capable on their day. Wellington Manawatu, probably a cricket score on the way there. And then Sunday, Arvo, the finale. Harbour vs Waikato, what better game to round out the round? Wallace Satiti and Shooter up against their Super Rugby teammates. This should be a great game. Harbour, they have to get this one. They got Counties and Auckland as their next two games after that, so it's been a tough draw to start with, but this would be a great confidence booster to get. Hopefully the lads can show up for the full 80 in front of what will probably be a small but vocal crowd led by the Harbour Heat fan club. Shooter to run a mark, Bryn Hall, Tane Edmund to put on a clinic. That Harbour Heat forward pack get into their work, Carl Ruzic and co. And we finally get our first win of the season. Get up the mighty Harbour Heat and enjoy your weekend of NPC footy. You never quite know what it's going to be dishing up. Best footy in the world in my opinion. So sink your teeth into it if you haven't been watching already. And man, would I love to see the Tunnies win the Shield. For me, NPC footy, it's at its best when the Shield is on the road, passed around the provinces. So go well to the Northland lads. Right, time to talk some punting, of course, courtesy of the TAB, and if you're not already a TAB customer, they actually have a 400% deposit match offer on now for all new accounts, so head along to the app or their website, www.tab.co.nz, sign yourself up, max deposit $25, and they'll chuck you $100 in bonus cash for any new customers, so get amongst that. Of course, we'll kick her off with the NRL, Tigers tonight taking on Manly. Odds suggest this one is going to be a pants down hiding. Tigers paying $5.20. The Manly Gulls $1.17. Some interesting stats around this one though. The Tigers have actually won their last 4 straight against Manly at Leichhardt Oval, but they've lost their last 9 games against current top 8 teams. So they hate playing decent sides, but like playing Manly at Leichhardt. Manly, they've won their last 6 straight against the West Tigers as well. Api Kodasau, he scored 5 tries in 7 games at Leichhardt Oval. He's paying $4.80. DCE, the People's Neck, he's scored 11 tries in his last 11 games against the Tigers, so a great record against them, paying $2.30 as well. Personally, I like the line for this one. I noticed it was set at plus 15.5 in favour of the Tigers. Off the back of Manly last week and how dangerous they look, I'm certainly backing them to get the win, but at the same time, that 4 from 4 at Leichhardt in favour of the Tigers does have me thinking 15.5 could well be a good option to jump on for the old Luke Brooks bowl. Then I like DCE and Api. I'm going to back the stats for this one for a lucrative little 3-leg same game multi. Of course, misses by 1, we'll get our money back in bonus cash as well. So a little Thursday fill up. Hopefully win enough to get us through the rest of the weekend. That's paying $21.97. I think there's going to be plenty of points in this one. Tigers, leaky sieve. Manly, pretty hot offense, but the Tigers can score some points too. Then Friday night, of course, the main event. How good is this going to be? Live from Shaun Johnson Stadium, it is the mighty One New Zealand Warriors hosting the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. We've got redemption on our mind after that Golden Point thriller. Last time we played them, the refs absolutely fucked us as well. We're paying $2.55. Bulldogs $1.53. Stats around this suggest it's waz. And interestingly, the Warriors have actually won 6 of our last 7 games against the Bulldogs, and the Bulldogs haven't won at Go Media Stadium since 2012, so they hate coming across the ditch to play us. Add to that, the Warriors have never lost at Shaun Johnson Stadium, and it's suggesting that $2.55 head-to-head is a must-get on. For our try scorers, Dallin, he just needs 2 more tries to reach 100 NRL tries. He's paying $2.10 anytime. If you're backing him to get the double and raise the bat, that's paying $5.20 for 2 or more. RTS, he scored 7 tries in his last 9 games against the Bulldogs, and interestingly, the Bulldogs are conceding 50% of their tries to left side attacks, so that suggests him and Marcelo are great options. Roger paying $3.70 there, and then Matty Bird, Burden, he'll play his 100th NRL game. He's paying $2.55 if you like a milestone bet. This is where it gets interesting for me, though. Carl from the TAB, he actually flicked me through a little screenshot before. He jumped on ChatGPT and asked them to summarise the last 10 games between the Warriors and the Dogs, and it appears now that it can predict the future. It's crazy what this AI can do, and it's dished up the below multi for tomorrow's game. So it said 23rd of August, 2024, Warriors 28, Bulldogs 18. The Warriors secured a solid win with a strong performance from Shaun Johnson, who orchestrated the attack with 2 try assists. Then it says DWZ and AFB were the key try scorers. So if you break that down, Warriors 1-12, that's paying $3.50. Warriors to win by exactly 10 points though, that's paying $21. AFB, he's paying $3.35 anytime. Dallin, $2.10. Surely that screams a little AI same game multi. You can go Warriors 1-12 into AFB and Dell anytime for $18.45. Or if you want to go even more Leary, Ivan Leary, some would say, switch the 1-12 with the Warriors to win by exactly 10 points, and you'll get $118.72. Certainly worth a cheeky little side investment, I reckon. Then for your milestone bets, SJ paying $3.25 anytime in his final home game for the Warriors at Shaun Johnson Stadium. Surely that is an omen. Jazz Tavanga, definition of a Warrior, $11 anytime for him to dot off the Remu. And then Adam Fanua-Blake paying $3.35 anytime. A little 3-leg multi of those 3 all to dot, $130.59. That is pretty elite. Then Broncos versus Eels. Bronx $1.35 favourites despite being without Walsh, Wham Bam, Ezra Mam and Payne in the Haas. Eels, $3.20 underdogs. Bookies giving them no chance. The Broncos have won 4 of their last 5 games against Para, and the Eels have lost 9 of their 10 games played away from home this season. Their only win at Mount Smart not too long ago. Blaze Talangi, he scored 11 tries in his past 12 games, paying $2.50 to dot. Dean Mariner, he scored 4 tries in 2 games against Para, paying $2.25. Katoni Stags, he'll be toey up for this one. He scored 5 tries in his last 5 games as well, paying $2.10. So for your same game multi for this one, back the stats. Broncos, Mariner, Stags, $5.53. How bloody good. Super Saturday triple header kicks off with the Green Machine, the Canberra Milk, hosting the Panthers. Raiders $3.20, Panthers $1.35. They'll be stinging off the back of course, going down to the Storm. The Raiders, they haven't defeated the Panthers at GIO Stadium since 2016, so 8 years on the bounce now. The Panthers have also won their last 5 straight against Canberra, and add to that, Canberra, they are shitting the bed at the worst possible time. Ricky Stewart must be absolutely fuming. They've conceded 88 points in their last 2 games, falling apart at the seams. Panthers centre Isaac Tango, he scored 4 tries in his last 3 games, paying $2.20 here. Casey McLean, he scored 3 tries in his last 4 games, paying $2.35. And Xavier Savage, he scored 4 tries in his last 5 games at GIO Stadium, paying $2.35. For your same game multi here, I'm going to go the Panthers into a centre of attention bet. 2 centres, Isaac Tango and Jesse McLean, $6.65. Like that little flutter there. Then you got the Storm taking on the Finns. Storm, $1.16 favourites. Finns, $5.40 underdogs. The Storm have won 17 of their last 19 games at home. Craig Bellamy has also won his last 12 straight up against Wayne Bennett, which has to be Wayne's worst head-to-head coaching record, surely. Jermaine Isako, he scored 24 points in 2 games against the Storm, paying $2.40 there anytime. And then Nelson Asafa Solomona, the big Kiwi, he will play his 200th NRL game here, paying $4 to dot down. I like me a bit of that. For your same game multi here, obviously Grant Anderson, he's been my go-to for Melbourne, scored in 6 straight games, but unfortunately he's ruled out for this one. Wishart named on the wing, Fa'alongo in the 14 jersey. Surely that's just mind games. Belzer switches those up because I think Wishy is a great 14. Fa'alongo, a great winger. So I'm going to go on Fa'alongo paying $2.60 to dot in Anderson's place. Multi that up with the milestone man, Nelson, and then the Storm, $11.99. Surely they just round us out and pay us at 12s. Bunnies versus Knights, $2.75 for the home side, the Bunnies. Knights at $1.46. The Rabbitohs, they've actually won 12 of their last 15 straight against the Knights, and the Knights have lost 4 of their last 5 away games. The Rabbitohs, they've also won 3 of their last 4 games at Accor Stadium, but no Cody Walker, as I mentioned, so surely that is a massive factor for this one. Greg Marju, he scored 5 tries in his last 7 games, paying $1.50, slim pickings for Greg the Leg. Rabbitohs hooker Damien Cook, though, he's juicy at $4.60, and he's actually scored 6 tries in his last 6 games against the lads from Newey. So I'm going to get on the Knights to win here. They're playing for a final spot. No Cody Walker. Surely they get this done. Tyson Frizzell, not a bad shot at $2.60 odds. I like Colin Matangi at $4.20. And then Damien Cook. If you didn't know, he used to do beach flags. Bit of a beach sprinter, old cookie. Kid can move. $4.60. All great value shots there. Then your Super Sunday doubleheader to round out round 25. Titans paying $5 at home on the GC up against the Chooks, who are paying $1.18. The Titans, they haven't defeated the Roosters at Seabus since 2016, and the Roosters have won their last 10 straight up against the lads from the Goldie. Jojo Fafita, he scored 5 tries in his last 3 games, and the Chooks, they're actually conceding 63% of their tries to left-hand side attacks, so I like him there at $2.45. James Tedesco, he's in shot to win the Dally M with a big couple weeks coming up for him. He scored 9 tries in his last 7 games against the Titans at $1.88. And then AKP, Olofiana Khan Pereira, he scored 8 tries in his last 5 home games. $1.80 for him. That's pretty juicy for AKP. Normally he's around that $1.50 mark. So for your same game multi here, I'm going to get on the Chooks, and then I'm going to jump on Fafita for that left-hand side strike, as well as James Tedesco paying 6 of the best. Final game, Dragons up against the Sharks. This one, big playoff ramifications. Sharks looking to hold on to a top 4 spot. Dragons looking to stay in the 8. $2.30 for the Red V. Sharks, $1.62 favourites on the road. The Dragons, they've actually won 4 of their last 5 games at home. The Sharks, though, they've won their last 8 straight up against the Dragons. Zaki Lomax, he scored 8 tries in his last 8 home games, paying $1.75. Christian Tuipolotu over on the other sting, he scored 7 tries in his last 7 games. Been a great fucking get for them at $2.05. And then Will the Thrill Kennedy for the Sharkies, their fullback. He scored 6 tries in his last 7 games against the Dragons, paying $2.80. I'm on the Drags here. I think they get the job done. Tricky Trindle back, but that won't be enough. Dragons into Tuipolotu and Lomax. A bit of a wicked wingers combo there, paying $6.18 to wrap up your rugby league. Over to the rugby union, of course, week off in the rugby championship. She's a travel week, business class, feed up, have yourself a couple Joe Rum and Cocos in the sky, and get ready to tuck into the Springboks next week. So this week, she's just straight out on MPC. Week 5 from 7 last week. Harbour and Auckland absolutely killing me for the perfect round. The old City of Sails doing a number on me multi. But this week we move on. We look to go the straight round again. Tomorrow night kicks off Shield game. Like I mentioned, no one's going to be fucking watching. Maybe for the first half an hour or so. And maybe that'll be enough to see Northland shoot out to a lead. Shit, would that be good. Hawke's Bay all day, $1.22 favourites. The Tunnies $4. I'm taking the line here, though. It's plus 11.5. I reckon the Tunnies give them a decent push. So I'm going to trail mit that one up at $1.90. Super Saturday, Counties $5.50 home underdogs against Tasman, who are paying $1.12. I like Tasman here, but I'm not going to tip you out $1.12 shot. So wait till the team's name, jump on some try scorers. I like Big Jim Tavatava Nawai on the wing. I like Molly at hooker for a rolling maul bet, and then Levi Almoa in the centres. All 3 of those great shots if they're starting, as is the Big Mac, Old McDonald's, who had a farm, Old Macca Springer. Get on him as well. Then you got Auckland into Canterbury. Big matchup this. $1.55 for Auckland, Canterbury for $2.35. I like Auckland at home here, especially if the tradie Harry Plummer plays. They need to get the dub. I love the try bet option in this one though. I think it's a little more safer. Gonna go down to the wire, Bees Dick type of stuff. Either team to win by under 7.5 points at $2.35. There's some great value to be had there. Southland $4.80 underdogs at home up against Taranaki, paying $1.16. Obviously expecting Taranaki to get the win, but I don't mind that plus 13.5 line in favour of Southland. They're at home. They get a big, passionate crowd out to support. They're playing some decent code as well. I'll back them in to cover at home in Invercargill. Taranaki to be bored shitless at $1.90. Super Sunday, Otago at home, $2.05 underdogs against Bay of Plenty, paying $1.72. Bop playing their fourth game in about 12 odd days. Otago off the back of a good upset win against Auckland last weekend. I reckon this is a bit of a danger game for the Bay of Plenty, but at the same time, two sides on paper. Looking at those, you got to back Bay of Plenty here. Otago, though, don't mind them on an alternative plus 7.5 line, paying $1.47 for a nice little multi-filler, just in case they go the big lift again at the Sistema lunchbox and pull off back-to-back upsets, because shit did they screw us last week. Wellington, $1.01 favourites at home against Manawatu. Tough scenes. That'll be a power play game, so wait for those to come out to extract any value there. And then Harbour, $1.87. Waikato, $1.87. Your game of the round to round us out. Harbour win here, and at 1 to 12, $3. That is juicy stuff. Snap that up for your try scorers, then look to multi-er into a shooter who's scored in both games so far. Of course, Waikato, part of that Chiefs franchise, he'll want to rip up some of his old mates. I also like Cade Banks at home too. He's leading the comp for line breaks at the moment. Old Killer Cade got some great footwork on him. He'd be a good cheeky little first try scorer bet as well. Interesting as well, was talking to my mate Piriwepu on the TAB's Pick and Go podcast, and he threw out a bit of a leery option for this one that I actually didn't mind, and that was the halftime draw into Harbour to get the dub at full time, paying $21. Don't mind that at all. Of course, same game multi-promos apply for all your NPC codes. Stay tuned to the Apple website for power plays too, just as these games jump off, because there's often some lucrative ones there. Try scorers, upsets, it all happens in the NPC, and there's good chances to get some decent money as well. For your bet of the week this week, 16 from 23 on these now. Back Kai last week, got the dub, you absolute beauty. This week, Warriors Bulldogs, I'm going to play it really safe and just go that either team wins by 1 to 12. Try bet option, paying $1.70. Truly believe the Warriors get it done, but this gives us that tiny bit of insurance on the off chance that we would need it. And then for your Magic multi, last week, Warriors plus 12.5, tick. All Blacks head to head, tick. Kai Carter France head to head, tick. Izzy head to head, Ballbuster, the final leg of the four. She was a cheeky little cross. That was paying $10.60, and we missed by 1. So this week, Harbour 1 to 12, Wars 1 to 12, Liverpool head to head, a true heart over head bet, paying $13.02. Get that into you. Gamble responsibly, as always, and shout out to the TAB. Get on that Surly boost too, and use that code for the Warriors Bulldogs game, STS50, to get yourself some bonus cash. Right, that's us for another episode of the Surly Talk Sports Pod. Hope you enjoyed it as always. If you're heading along to the game tomorrow night, Shaun Johnson Stadium, see you there. It's going to be iconic shit. Truly a game to tell the kids about, and I can't wait to get myself in the mixer there and witness a famous, historic Warriors win. Shout out to the Harbour Heat as well. Go and get the job done, lads. Enjoy your weekend sporting action. Good luck on the punt if you are having a go at the TAB. Catch you back here, same time, same place, next week. How good. Get up, SJ, and up the fucking Wars.